curse words out. Alrighty, there we go. Okay, let's wait. I got a whole list of things here for you, John. I've been ready while the other one's been goofing off over here. I've been getting prepared.
You better watch it. She's gonna throw you out, man.
I am never
She
prepared.
can't hear you. Alrighty, so we'll God, I am getting old. You're right. I mean, I'm looking
I
at
can't
that.
see
I
that.
can see the number of people watching.
I'm good.
I can't see the
I'm
comments.
glad.
So
You're going to have to read stuff to me.
good evening, everyone. I know, what is it? Tuesday night, as promised. Good evening, Anna. How are you? As promised, as part of our holiday marathon, we have the legend right there, Mr. John Zaffis. How are you, John?
Hi, good. How are you?
Yeah.
Here?
We're all here.
That's an accomplishment for me.
So what you don't see before we go on here, we're New Jersey Paranormal. In case you don't know who we are, I'm John. This is Chris. Chris has been trying to get the giant screen next to us here to show all the comments because she can't read them.
That's all right.
So-
I'll just look down
So if you see her looking at her screen the whole time, you know what's going on.
because she's blind.
So are you done for the year, John? You all done with?
No, I got one more gig up in Newport, Rhode Island for a Christmas gig.
Really?
Yeah, I was so excited. It was last minute. It got pulled together, very quick, and it's at Bellevue Mansion up there.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's actually a Christmas theme type thing. They're doing like a brunch thing, and doing ghost stories and walking around. It's not like our usual type events. So I was kind of excited about it. And what even shocked me even more, John, the thing sold out so quick it wasn't even funny.
I'm
So-
not surprised.
I was, because I figured that time of year and stuff, people are thinking about other things, but man, oh man. And then she called me like 3 days later and she goes, "We got a waiting list, people
Wow.
waiting."
That's
And
nice.
she said, yeah. So I said, well, that's good. That's a good thing. So I was glad to hear that, but that'll be my last thing for the year.
So hey everybody, how you doing? I see Donna's watching. Hello, Donna. Hey Dana, how are you? You and I were just kind of talking too for like 2 minutes before we went live, and we were talking about doing events and slowing down or not doing as many or whatever, and you were just kind of saying that, hey, you like getting out there and you like doing the stuff that we do, and it brings up a good point that even into December now, normally, October-ish, people are kind of winding down after Halloween, but now, paranormal people want to do stuff January 1st to December 31st. They just,
It's a lot different. It's a lot different now. And like I was saying to you, usually January, February, March, I'd rather stay put.
right.
I did that last year and I got too bored, even though I was still doing a few cases here and there. So this year I said, no, I'm going to, do a few. Got looking at one for January up in that neck of the woods again, up in the Newport area. So I'm excited about that, and doing something in Pennsylvania in February. And we're going to try and set up a few things with you guys to rock and roll, bring in the new year.
Isn't it weird, like coming from like where you come from? I mean, all the paranormal events that there are in all the different places all the time now. 30 years ago, did that even exist? Really?
10 years ago, it didn't even exist.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, you had your select few, and, again, it was the way it would go. Now, every time you turn around, there's 4 or 5 conventions, or, if you looked at everything all together, it's amazing. Each and every weekend, there's a ton of stuff going. It's amazing me when I look online and I see the stuff that's still going on right up to the end of the year. I'm shocked.
I know.
I am literally shocked by it. But
I'm kind of
happening.
forced to stop by, somebody next to me. Wow, look at that. Celine, we I'm a bit of an older guy. My son refers to me as a boomer, And I finally figured out how to monetize YouTube so that, like all these other people out there, we could get super chats and we could get subscriptions and all that stuff. And Celine was our first ever super chat for $10. So thank you, Celine, for being the first ever super chatter for New Jersey
I don't even know what that
Paranormal.
means.
It only took us 10 years to figure out how to do that. And yeah, that's $1 for every year we've been doing it.
That's an accomplishment.
Thank you. Thank you, Celine. Anyway, let's talk about cases, because you had brought that up, that you were, when you and I were going back and forth a little bit there, instant messaging, you said you were out working on a case.
Oh, with me, a lot of times I could be sitting not doing anything. And it's amazing. I could end up in Massachusetts, New York, anywhere within 24 hours or something if there's investigations are going on. There was, and normally this time of the year, I don't like getting involved with any of that. I usually like to wait till, after Christmas and stuff to get back into it. But again, this year it just seems to be a little wonky with certain things that are going on and a little horrendous. And usually a lot of my spiritual friends, or so I call all of them, don't usually get too involved either. But there's been several circumstances recently where I had to jump in and be able to help out. So again, it's weird. It's weird, but again, like we're saying, things are changing. It's like, all year long now, everything just keeps going, no matter what's happening or, anything.
I was contacted by a person and I told them we couldn't do anything for them right now. Their mother passed recently. This is a grown woman. Her mother passed recently, and the father is older and he's still alive, obviously. And they claim to be hearing the mom in the home. And they wanted us to come and check it out just to see if we could give them just any kind of proof or validation that what they're experiencing or hearing is, is it something they want or is it really happening? And I told them, give us a few weeks, let the holidays get over, and then we'll come and do that. It's part of what I wanted to talk to you. We were going to talk about cases a little bit here and there, but have you experienced cases or things where a recent passing has affected a home or a place, or because most people will tell you, oh, it takes a while, transition, blah blah blah. I know a lot of the mediums say it takes a while for spirited whatever to get to where they get to the point where they can actually be in a place and interact and contact people. Have you ever been on cases or where that's happened right away?
Yeah, but it's usually a situation where there was already some type of supernatural activity taking place.
Huh.
And when an individual passes away, again, in a situation where you already could possibly have activity occurring or something like that, it might amplify it. Now, also, I do feel that today it's even a little bit more different than it was before, because we looked at it where we don't force, or I don't believe in forcing anything. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So again, when these people are experiencing things with someone that immediately had passed away within the house, that throws up a red flag that there's reasoning for it. Is there something unsettled? Something isn't, just right. And if it's a possibility of going in and being able to help out, actually, I'm involved with something very similar to what you're just saying.
Okay.
But it was, a teenager that had passed away.
Oh.
So, again, it's a difficult situation, and they're just trying to figure out why so much activity is occurring, and it's not occurring in the particular room, where the kid was staying.
Right.
But it's occurring within the house. But it was a troubled child.
Gotcha.
So, drugs, the whole 9 yards, again. I think that's attributing to a lot of it also.
So you think it's more unresolved stuff than it is just them coming through to let the people know that they're still around or anything like that?
Okay, this particular situation I'm talking about with this teenager, I think it's just the child doesn't even realize they're dead yet.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Because I believe strongly in that
Right.
a person could pass away a tragedy in a car accident, and that spirit can wander for a while before it even realizes it's no longer with the physical body.
Right.
Because their realm, from the understanding we have, is totally different from our realm. There's no time, there's nothing, so it just they could continuously could move on and keep doing things without even realizing that they're dead.
Wow. You wonder from that perspective if, and the person who's passed and what they're dealing with and living through, you wonder what are their emotions still involved? Are they still acting as if they're alive? But did they realize that people are upset and not reacting to that, like the sixth sense, not reacting to them like they are alive?
I don't know. That's one of those $1 million type questions where we
Right.
try to figure, we try to figure out, you know, with that. And the biggest reason that I still believe in the theory of it is
Right.
because there's, no time within that realm.
Yeah.
There's no time
Yeah.
within space. So therefore, it's just continuous. So if somebody had died today, 2, 3 weeks later, is that person possibly just sitting there and not even realizing that they're no longer on the physical plane?
Right. Ah,
Possibilities. Everything's a possibility, within our realm of trying to comprehend and understand this stuff. So, I think a key thing that I'm very interested in and I watch it is with everybody documenting.
right.
That is so important that they do that. I could care less now, as you know. I go in, do what I need to do. Somebody needs my help, and I'm able to help them. That's fine. Kumbaya, I'm out. I'm gone. But that's not a good way to look at it, especially from a researcher perspective.
Right.
Now, just what we're talking about right now, we apply theory because that's all we have
Right.
is theory with a lot of these different perspectives. Because I would like to know, okay, that spirit left the physical body. Are they seeing hell? Are they seeing heaven? Are they stuck in neutral? None of us know. These are the things we'd love to know, but we're not granted that information.
Right.
So it's just the fact of it, watching it and experiencing some of the things that we can't explain and witnessing it to me is more positive than anything else.
Well, you bring up a good point, though, in that, again, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, um, there may have been people who, if they wanted to see if a loved one was still around or communicate with a loved one who had passed in the
Mm-hmm.
home or otherwise, they would have maybe had a seance, or they
Or
would have had
like the Ouija. Yep.
a Ouija board, or
Yeah.
a medium come over.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I think people would be more than comfortable with getting out their digital recorder or whatever piece of equipment you want to talk about
Oh yeah.
and actually doing that in their home. And you
Yeah.
wonder, does that help the process of the connection of making that communication? Whereas in the past, you had to think about, like, am I hearing that? Am I seeing that? Are they here? Whereas now we're, like you said, trying as a researcher and a person documenting, like, hey, let's try these things and see. But you also wonder, is it possible on the other end of that to open up a door to something else that may not be who you're hoping to communicate with? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
absolutely, absolutely. Here again too. Regardless of anything, because as you guys know, it's a very big thing with me out investigating. No matter where I am, who always comes through? Ed Warren.
Right.
And then Lorraine starts coming through. Now, do I still keep my guard up? Not knowing 100% that I could be being tricked. We all could be being tricked. That's a good possibility. So there again, even though it's occurring and it's happening, and we're experiencing those things, and things are quote unquote getting confirmed, with some type of information or verification, I still keep my guard up. I always will, because we don't know.
No.
We're not 100% sure of anything. So if we were, I think a lot of us would look at things a little bit differently.
Well, you bring up a good point, because I've been with you when we've been doing sessions or whatever, and you'll say, Ed, not now, or Ed, yeah, I
And
know,
cut the
Ed.
shit. The people are here to talk to the other ghost. That's why, because it's a running joke now with all of us that
Right.
go with me anywhere, because I start arguing with him and he
Right.
argues back with me.
It
So
happens.
it's a riot. If it isn't him, man, that ghost is doing a good job in imitating him.
Well, here's my question to you based on that. Have you ever gone and isolated yourself in your office and tried a one-on-one conversation?
I shouldn't say no. There's been situations there when the possibility is there that he's trying to get a message across. There's certain things that have occurred over the years, but this all started when he was back in a coma, when he wasn't able to talk, speak, or
Right.
walk, or anything. He
Right.
would just make noises, and a picture will fall over, or something he gave me will move, or something will occur. And at that point, I would say to myself, is he trying to communicate? He's trying to get something across to me. Then something else would happen, and I would go, okay, he's trying to get something across and tell me something.
Right.
Again, I believe very strongly, working with psychics and mediums. I believe, I have several good friends that aren't in the paranormal field that are extremely gifted people that, I rely upon. Will talk to them about a lot of these different things, and they can communicate and sometimes give me information. So now, it wasn't that long ago. I'd say maybe a couple of weeks ago, give or take. A lot of times when people are traveling up 95, going back and forth, though, John, you home? Can I stop over? Yeah, and I mean that's not if I'm around, fine. Come on over, have coffee. So, but again, a friend of mine had stopped, and she was getting into it. She was sitting here in my office, going back and forth. Well, she looks at me and she goes, "Well, Ed's around." I go, "He's always freaking around. What do you want from Ed?" That's not nothing earth shattering to it. So, then she started talking, and she was getting into a few other things. And then she pointed to a few different things here in the office. And she says, "Can I touch them?" And I'm like, "Yeah, feel free." Because I was like, okay, they were a couple of personal things that I had that had belonged to him.
Okay.
And she had no way of even knowing it, because I just don't talk about it,
Right.
those items. And she was picking up on them, and she was just telling me, she says, he keeps thinking turmoil, turmoil, turmoil. She kept seeing a funnel, and I said, well, that would be typical for my uncle, because he was always in chaos.
Right.
He's always, that was the way he operated. So again, I don't know if it meant something. Was it symbolic? Is he trying to communicate something to me? Saying turmoil and this funnel of wind and all this confusion that's going on. I don't know.
Maybe he was referring to the Camp Evans and you always coming there and having storms and tornadoes.
No, I was thinking more along the lines of, again, not to get in too deep in, but not to get too deep into the legacy, the Warren legacy.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be symbolic as well, without getting too deep into the story. I mean,
I would think that'd be a big part of it.
I think that would be too.
Yeah.
I also too, another fact is, do you think, and then I'll tell you right off that I do, when the person that's passing, even suddenly or unknowingly, has a really strong connection to somebody here that's living, I think sometimes that is a path of where someone can come quicker than a long time later on.
Oh, absolutely. I refer to when people pass away, they do a sweep. And what I mean by a sweep is they go around to all the people they knew, or they try to communicate, especially the individuals that are the closest to them. One of the biggest road blocks theory, again, everything is theory, that we have is that when we're with somebody that passes away that we're close with, we're going through that grieving process and everything like that. So we're not paying attention to our environment at all.
Right.
Is there something happening or occurring right at that point in time that we're not aware of that they're trying to communicate and trying to get across to us? Good possibility. Because I'm guilty of that myself. When you lose anybody immediately like that, I don't, react in the moment,
No.
but still, again, I do, I will withdraw.
Right.
So again, but that's the way I handle it and do things. So again, that it depends, but I would think if anything, immediately as soon as the spirit is leaving the physical body, that contact would be tried to be established immediately. But unfortunately, due to us, it doesn't happen right away.
Yeah, but that's my question to you, and in a weird way, is that okay? You being who you are and the researcher that you are, and the things that you've done throughout your whole life, what in from my perspective, maybe not from yours, if I had done all these things and Ed seemed to be coming through, whether it's Ed or not, I would isolate myself, use whatever methods you're going to use, and I would try to find out, like you said, the big mystery. Ed, you of all people, could you tell me what is heaven? Are you with Lorraine? What happens after? You know what I mean? Like I would, because my brain just is that way. You've never thought about that type of
Yes.
thing?
Okay. Yes. But on the flip end of that, to get a good understanding, how I learned a lot of the process of these things, it was always pay attention to your environment. If there's something to be said, something to be communicated, it will come to you.
Okay.
Now, I was always taught that not just by them, but by other, spiritual people. You know, pay attention to your environment. The information will come through. 9 out of 10 times, John, when something occurs, I will always take that step back, and it might be several days, but I'll always sit and go, aha,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
That's what it was meant. Again, no time
Right.
with it within that realm. So therefore, again, that's how it communicates. I am a firm believer in leaving well enough alone.
Okay.
I think you know that because you and I have talked about that many of
Yeah.
times. I'll leave things alone. I just, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I have been told by several other people that that was one of the uh, major things that is, a guardian that helps to guard me
Right.
because I always keep my guard up 24/7, no matter what I'm doing or how I get involved with it. And I don't usually poke the hornet's nest,
Right.
to a point. Again, if we're on a case
Right.
and we have to provoke, will I provoke? I've done it. Yep. To try to get some type of information or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't
We
do it just for the sake of doing it. You do it with a purpose.
That's the only time I'll do it.
Yep.
There
we
has
we
to be a reason.
we were talking about the whole unexplainable time thing and how it works or whatever. We were at the Creeper Gallery, which you know well. We were interacting with an object that belonged to a woman who was an actress, and she was known for being the party girl and music and singing and everything like that. And we believe, Chris especially, that we sort of didn't tap into like direct contact with her, but we tapped into her timeline of when that she was actually living her life, because we heard her singing, we heard her laughing, we heard
Communicating
crowds
with
of
some
people.
guy in the background.
Yeah.
It was like I was
But,
taken there.
but you were contacting with her because you just answered it. She was a party girl. She liked to have a good time. So that's how she's going to come back in the spirit realm, associating what it's like, what she's actually, again, was tying in with, the good times, the partying. And that's what she was showing you. That's what she was about. And that's what she wanted to be remembered by. So therefore, I would look at it that, yes, you did tap into her
Yeah.
realm,
Yeah.
her time framing, but she was showing you her life.
And that's really interesting in a sense that a lot of mediums that we've interviewed through the years, they'll tell us they get like symbols and pictures and whatever, and they don't try to interpret them. They just give them to the person who's across from them in hopes that they understand. Like I'm
Yeah, that
seeing,
something means something. Yeah.
but we got that almost in real time. It wasn't just visual; it was audio. We heard like a day in the life of this
Yeah.
person, which was
It
bizarre.
it was really, really bizarre.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that. Lately, it's really bizarre. I don't have any gifts or anything, but I actually felt her joy and and when she was laughing, there was like a conversation with this guy in the background, and then you could hear the music. It was almost like I was at a rehearsal. It's the only way I could explain it.
Was she a performer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Re-
That's the answer right there. She was a performer.
really bizarre.
So therefore, she was putting herself on stage for you.
Yeah.
She was performing for you. Now, to me, I think that's super cool.
Me
It was
too.
it was yeah, it took me away. It really did take me back and just kind of like, holy crap, did that just
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah, because it's weird because I told you I had this conversation with Grant Wilson probably a year or two ago where he told me his entire theory on the afterlife and how it works and all that stuff. And one of the things he said to me was, when you pass, you're basically there is a life review, and that takes as long as it takes. For some longer than others, you have to face everything you've done. And then he told me his theory was you were introduced to whatever version of your heaven would be, like what you think your heaven, my heaven would be, which would be my mom and my all the animals I've ever lost, and maybe the neighborhood I grew up in. Who knows? That's what your heaven is initially, and then over time, however long that is, the whatever the real heaven is introduced to you when you're comfortable with being dead and knowing you've transitioned. It's a really weird theory, but hearing stuff like that, you wonder, is it true? Or again, did we just tap into
That
just
time,
a time of
memory
her
of
life?
hers.
Yeah, that she was showing us, Sorry.
Well, that's what my theory is, that she was showing you that time framing
Yeah.
when she was the happiest. She was performing.
Yeah.
So therefore, she wanted to show you that she was happy and still continuing doing. It was like looping it. She was just looping it in
Yeah.
that time framing, and it just kept going and kept going. Now, I had a very similar experience with that. I think it was the Chance Theater or whatever it was, upstate New York. Okay. And I got invited to go. It was on a whim, and we were doing recordings and everything. Now, here is the bizarre freaking thing you want to talk about. You're making me think about vaudeville. Okay, the time framing of it and everything. And my uncle was coming through and going back and forth, and a communication got established, and then Babe started coming through. Now, that was my mother's name was Babette, but they called her Babe. So I was getting upset. I said, "Well, that's my mother coming through." But it hit me like a ton of bricks. I went,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, we're picking up on my aunt," and that's what my uncle's trying to tell us.
Wow.
All of a sudden, he comes through on the box. "You asshole!" So I just sat there and I go, "That's my uncle." I says
my
he's talking
God.
about his aunt. Her name was Babe, and she was vaudeville. So then I was like, okay. I came back. This is a while back. I came back. I called a couple of my cousins, and I said, I'm trying to find out that Aunt Babe, some of the theaters, and they go, well, John, she played a lot of the theaters in upstate New York. And I went, okay. And I mentioned the theater, and one of my cousins said, probably that was a very big vaudeville theater back in the day. Now, are these things playing back in time, Chris? Did that go back in a time framing? I don't know, but it just set me off the deep end with the people I was there with. And I remember two of the people turning and looking at me, and they're going, "You're freaking creeping us out more than anything else with this whole story." And I go, "Well, I can't be making it up. I can't
No.
verify any of it until I talk to a few of my cousins to be able to back some of it." And that's what I did. I came back home and did some checking around and went, "This is too coincidental."
This is cool. I gotta ask this
Yeah,
question.
but you know
real
what is
quick.
weird when it comes to you and what I'm hearing? It's almost like Ed is like I don't want to say a conduit because that's a bad word to describe, but it's
Connection?
like he's like a liaison. Like Ed is there because you're attempting to speak and interact with whatever spirits are around you wherever you are. And Ed is kind of always around as I think like a liaison. And when you're in a building with other spirits where they may exist, it's almost like the Wi-Fi signal is stronger and he kind of I don't know, helps navigate that in a way because
Oh,
every
bullshit.
time,
He tries to take over.
well, but every
No,
time I've ever been with you, there's at least one time where you reference him and like, okay, we're doing something. And it's weird because you wonder if that's possible because you were so close to him and he was so involved in the field. Is he like a,
He's still telling John
he- uh,
Zaffis to get his
like
stuff
a,
together
yeah,
and hey,
somehow
pay
navigate?
attention. There's more to this. You're missing it.
but he's been telling me that for 50 years.
But that's what I mean. That is so weird to me when you reference him and the fact that you're in other places. You wonder if he could somehow attract the other spirits or even like, hey, he's here, they're here,
Or he's
you
pushing him
know.
aside and saying, I want to speak.
It's just really weird.
But I
I,
want to ask you a
I
question
think it's the
real quick.
latter part, like Chris just said.
Pushing him aside, I'm here.
Because how many times I've said it when I'm doing this and he comes through like that and people hear me say, I'll go, "Ed, you got to let the other spirits speak." You've heard me. You got to let the other spirits speak. And then he gets really riled up.
Right?
He was just bigger than life when
I
he was
was sitting there
alive.
when you yelled at him.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people be around us that, when we were all, they were alive, when all of us were around and everything. I had, a couple of friends of ours, they sat there in amazement. One of the women started crying. She goes, "Johnny, it's just like we're sitting in their kitchen and the three of yous are arguing." She goes, "I can
Wow.
hear them."
How bizarre is
See?
that?
And she literally broke down crying. And then her husband turned and looked at me and he goes, "I don't believe in most of the stuff." He goes, "But I can't explain what just
No.
happened here." He
No.
said, "I can't."
So
And I was just like, I said, "Well, they're your friends too, so."
there you go. So explain that one. So
Yeah.
Laura, going back to getting things from a haunted object and saying about their place in heaven, whatever. Laura Cameron says, but I thought spirits attached to things haven't passed over to heaven or whatever.
Okay, again, theory. When we're dealing with something, because I never say items can be possessed unless we're dealing with something that's a ritual item and intent and purpose is put behind it. We deal with the dolls, or like a few of the items that I bring out to some of the events, for people to experience. I think we're dealing with human energy that's attached to them. So therefore, it could be something personal, that meant something to people. Um, People viewed things a lot differently years ago than we do now. You know, um, a doll, or, a piece of jewelry or something, 50, 60 years ago, that meant a lot to certain people
Right.
to get something so special. Today, it's nothing. So again, I think it really, as far as the connection goes, with dealing with heaven or hell, I don't even really put that into the equation of that. See, my philosophy with some of this stuff is probably more whacked out than other people, because, again, I feel if a person crosses over to being, you know, on the fluffy cloud, heaven, whatever, or down brimstone, fire, hell, whatever you want to call it, that occurs. And I do believe the simple fact of it, that spirit can cross back over into our physical realm.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind about that. I know it occurs. I know it happens. I can't prove it. I wish I could, but I can't. If there was a way to, even like with the ferret cage, uh, uh, trying to trap the energy and
Right.
everything. But again, um, with a lot of that, I wish so much of it was out into the forefront. A lot of the mystery wasn't there, but it is because anybody, when I listen to certain people, especially that get involved with our field, so to speak, with the supernatural and so forth, and they go, "Well, I don't necessarily feel that there's a heaven or a hell or there's this or that. It's just plain energy." Um, Again, can they be wrong? Not necessarily, because it's everything's a possibility.
Yep.
I mean, I even believe in reincarnation. So
Wow.
again, you know, with that, and then when you think about it and you try to look at it from a logical perspective, is it again just a time warp where time just keeps playing over and over? And some of us look at it and quote unquote go, well, it's a possibility that's reincarnation. We really don't know.
Right.
But these are the mysteries, all the mysteries with all these different things that, it still keeps me going after all these years. Again, going and doing different things, there's always different occurrences, different things that happen with different people that we intermingle with, on
Changes all the
circumstantial
time.
things. Yeah. I mean, you never know what's going to occur, what's going to happen. Can it flatline? Yeah, I've had it happen. Nothing happens at all.
Yep.
But then again, you could get a certain element, a certain mixture of energy of people in there, and boom, all kinds of crazy things start happening.
That's another thing I wanted to ask you about too, because you do a lot of private cases. Have you ever gone somewhere in all the years that you've been doing this and not be able to validate or experience anything, no matter how many times you went back? And if that happened, what is your course of action after that?
It has happened. With a situation like that, which I get more concerned with is if we're dealing with children.
Right.
Mm.
Okay.
Then if there's not anything occurring or not anything happening, then y'all say, okay, somebody else has to go in. Let's see what other people can come up with.
Okay.
See if there's some type of validation they could come up with. So again, I would look at it from that perspective because you can't rule out anything.
Right.
I can't because you could have people move in and out of a house. You could have 10 different families live in a house, nothing happens. Boom, one family moves in there and all hell breaks out.
Right. Right.
We see it happening time and time and time again. Doesn't mean these people are ticky tock. No, something's going on. Something's happening.
Right.
So again, a perfect storm is you hear me use that term, a lot of times where the right person in the right house at the right time, boom, it triggers something.
And you bring up a good point there because, like you said, you could go in there 30, 40, 50 times. You're not the conduit. You're not the catalyst. You're just the guy going in there who, for whatever reason, the spirits aren't reacting to, yet they are reacting to the people who live there.
And Gina said maybe that's when someone else should go in and try.
Yeah, that's why it's a good point.
Absolutely.
Where,
you
Absolutely.
have
other people go in.
I'm guarded. I'm very guarded who I get involved with
course.
when I'm work, especially residential cases.
You have to be.
I am more guarded today than I've ever been in the past.
You have to be. You have to be.
There's too much liability today compared to the way things were handled and done in the past. So yeah, again, I'm extremely guarded. But bringing somebody else in for validation, especially someone I've known or I've worked with them and I trust them. Therefore, yeah, I'm very comfortable with that.
What about, I think we may have talked about this before, but I don't know. I don't remember what your response to was. All the cases, all the things you've done, exorcisms, you've been part of everything and anything. Did you ever, and I know you do things to protect yourself, have you ever left any case, feeling like something was lingering in you or connected to you?
Definitely, yes. I've felt where, there's been situations where I've pulled away. The haunting in Connecticut, perfect example. I ran out of there like a little screaming kid. I mean, I've never denied that, never will. But I went back 3 days later
Right.
And it was only the simple fact because it got put to me that you had to, get back because it was just trying to scare me out of the work.
Mm.
So therefore, when that bishop had said that to me, and I went, "Oh shit, you had to put it to me that way." Naturally, I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
And was I scared? Yes, I was scared, but I did go back. There's been a couple of other cases where I've been so deeply involved in everything, and things would occur and things happen. I had this one case that we worked on for 4 years, and it was 16 exorcisms that involved it. I had a couple of times where time got lost.
Wow.
I ended up on the side of the highway, and I'd be sitting there for an hour, hour and a half, and not even know what happened.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, and that is freaky.
Yeah, it
That
is.
is, I've had it happen maybe good 6, 7 times,
Yeah.
and it's always been the real heavy duty type situations
Yeah.
where that occurs, that time lapse. And then I'll go, because again, I look at things from a perspective of, was something trying to show me something? Was it trying to take me into another different level, a different realm? I don't know. I can never answer those types of things. So again, there's things that I can't explain. There's things I don't talk about because they're so whacked out. I don't even know if I understand them.
No, but you bring up a good point there too, because I never thought of it in that sense, and that's why I love talking to you about this stuff, because you make me think, and I've been through that time loss thing probably a handful of times,
Mhm.
and now that you make me think about it, every medium will tell you that you have to go into that meditative state. They do those exercises in order to do their quote unquote readings and commune with spirits.
Correct.
You
Yep.
you wonder, hypothetically, in theory, is spirit trying to take you into that state, whether you want to be in it or not?
Well, I don't like
And
it.
what's going on when you're in that state that you don't remember? You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. I don't like it.
No, I
Me
don't
either.
like it. You've see that he watched it happen to me several times. There's nothing about it that I like or want to open myself up to it. I want nothing to do with it.
hmm I went through a couple of situations with Carmen Snedeker in The Haunting in Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
where she would go into the Valley of Tears, and where these black, big, huge shadow form things were happening. And the following day, she would start telling me about it, and I'd be like, if that was a dream, I almost had the same identical dream
Wow.
Wow.
of getting dragged into this place with her, and it was mountainous and weird, just weird. Again, something else I never talk about. It's too whacked out. Who's gonna believe these things?
Yeah.
Nobody. Nobody's
Another
gonna believe.
person that's going through it like you are. And then you find out if there's a connection and someone else is having it. Just
Yeah.
like people seeing the black figures or the shadow figures or the hat man. When people start talking about these things, this is when we start finding out if there's patterns.
But that's all part of it, though, because, like you said, sometimes the most unbelievable aspects of whatever this is are probably the realest aspects of this. Because, again, I have a really good friend of mine who is a medium. We went to a workshop where she taught us how to meditate. And one thing that really stuck with me was that, that whole left brain, right thing, or right brain, where, you some people can't meditate because their minds are too busy, and the other part of their brain is the one that's kind of intuitive. And she said to me, and she brought up a good point, and I'm trying to practice this now, where if I enter a space or I'm with an object or anything like that, I try to just let my mind go blank, and I try to make mental notes of just the first things that pop into my head, because they're not my thoughts, they're the whatever thoughts that are being introduced to me, to see if there's any relevancy there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there could be.
That's what I'm saying.
There could be something that's relevant that is going to tie in, with the circumstances and the environment.
Right.
I think, um, I think one of the most important things for any of us within this field is to always, keep that open mind
Right.
Yep.
and, keep growing
Yep.
or keep advancing, not necessarily growing, because continuously I'll go over things, and think about circumstances and things. And when I look at the big picture of everything, there's nothing I exclude from anything.
Okay.
Nothing. I
You
mean,
can't.
because
You really
I
can't.
can't, because I don't know. I don't know. There's too much that points to things that, again, nobody has answers to. The
No.
the hieroglyphics. You have to be up in a plane to be able to see them. The pyramids, all these different things. You know what I mean? These are all things that, no, they just didn't start cutting all these stones and they all fell together within where you couldn't even get a piece of paper through the.
Right.
No, 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 no. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Why were all these rocks laid out with these hieroglyphics and everything so that you can only see them from up in the air?
Right. And
You
and
know,
and and everything we speak of is from the human living experience.
right.
Mathematics, science, these were all created by living, breathing human beings. Nobody that quote unquote transitioned or came from somewhere else. It's
Okay.
us. And
All right.
we're limited to the human experience. Period.
I just watched new special to me. I haven't seen it. It's about the present time and the future with Nostradamus.
Right.
Mm.
I am extremely fascinated with that guy
Right.
because I think he was one of the, a very gifted person. I really do believe that. Whether it was dark, light, I don't know. I don't care. As
Right.
all as I know is he came up with a lot of stuff. All right.
Right.
And some of the things that tie in and some of the things that line up, again, it just makes you stop and think about that. Think about these people from many years ago before TV, phones, and anything else. Those people had trained themselves to be able to do so many things, to be able to pick up on things
Yep.
compared to today.
Yep.
It was a totally different phenomenon that took place. Native American, when people going, into their deep meditating states and some of the ceremonies and going into the I've had the opportunity to experience that a couple of times, and it's freaking wild.
I would
It's
love to
that
try that.
it's wild to have these experiences and the traditions, the old traditions with a lot of different things, not just that I am very fascinated with. Um, Again, it's just things you can't rule out. How did somebody, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, know certain things were going to do or certain things were going to happen? They were picking up on certain things. No, there's no way that, no,
No.
no, there's no way
Doesn't
that
make
I will
sense.
accept that. Yeah, yeah.
So I've got a comment from Patrick Linehan. He says, "Is Mr. Zaffis still collecting haunted objects? I have a Ouija board that was used by a black magician and Satanist. I would love a paranormal investigator to take it and investigate it safely and make an assessment to see if there is still any kind of activity connected to it. My place is haunted anyways. Even if the board leaves the place, it would still be active. Let me quantify that. The paranormal activity at my place is pretty low level. I'm used to it. There's a lot to phase me. If they wanted me to mail him the board, I would do that if postage wasn't too expensive." So,
Well, yeah, no, I definitely still collect. Definitely, I just worked on a, a case was the last week? You know me, I forget freaking days, weeks. I
yeah,
don't
me
even know where
too.
I am at for the time anymore. Anyways, this crazy, crazy doll, and it looked like an Annabelle doll, but one side it had the smiling face, and you flipped it over, and it was sleeping. So I'm like, it just freaked me out because I never seen anything like that. But then again, I had a friend of mine check it out, and they picked up on some of the energy and different things. When I had removed it from the house too, when I was holding it, I was like, all right, there's definitely energy attached to it. Now that's recent. So yes, I still take items in. I still collect them. You two have been here. You know what my hoarding is like. So,
That's an awesome collection, though.
so again, it's yeah, definitely. If he wants to send it, just send him my address. I'm fine with that.
Have you ever gotten something and felt like, no way, no, before you even opened up the box or really reached in there, have you ever gone like, oh no, this is a bad one? Do you get
Yeah.
those
Oh yeah.
feelings?
When I deal with ritual items, I'm
Right.
very cautious and very, very guarded. Anything that's been used, within the practicing of quote unquote the different magical practices and different things of that nature, you got to be guarded and you got to be careful because that's all done with intent.
Yeah, that's scary.
Thus, I have to deal with that
Yeah.
differently. So I'm guarded with a lot of that stuff that goes on to that level. Very guarded.
Yeah, Cody and Satori had this thing this weekend that was,
Oh no.
I call it an amulet because I don't know what else to call it, but it was an old chain with a circular thing that had symbols on it, and it was sealed in wax. And according to them, it was something used in a ritual to,
Intent to give the person power.
but it traps spirit and then uses spirit
And you can use
energy
and it uses you to give you power.
And I literally touched this thing because, of course, they use me as the lab rat. They're like, nobody's touched this thing. Nobody's seen this thing. And they hand it to me. My ears automatically clogged. And I heard ringing that I still have to this day. And I felt like I was going to vomit.
But he put it on too.
Well, I had to.
What do you mean you had to?
I have to know where it leads. You can't just show
He
me
put it on.
the yellow brick road and expect me not to go to Oz. I'm going to go to Oz.
And we were doing EVP and it called his name.
It said, I hate John.
Well,
But that could have been anybody in the room, John. So,
now,
I mean,
if I was there and I saw you go to put that on, I would have slapped your hand.
hey,
And you and I would probably start arguing over that.
what a great TikTok video that would have been.
But
Yeah,
no,
Patricia put it on
with it,
twice.
with an item like that, especially the way you're describing it to me, yeah, I'd be curious. I'd be interested in it. I would do EVPs around it. Right away, that tells me that was done with deliberate intent
Yeah.
and purpose. So therefore, I would definitely would not put it on my person.
Yeah, they said it was tantric.
It was what?
Tantric.
Yeah, again, you're talking about heavy duty shit there. Again, when
Says he put it on twice. Thank you, Patricia, for saying that. It was a repeat performance. There was another night's event. I had a.
what is this? I had a
I mean, the people deserved a second look at it. The new people that were there.
I love the way you justify things. But anyways,
you know me, John.
with again, like I said, with a lot of it, as you know, because you've been downstairs, I have that one section where I keep all the darker objects that I feel, and there's a lot of things that I don't have out in the forefront.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, it's very intriguing and very interesting with a lot of that stuff.
I got to get in there and do a live stream where I take that stuff out and I hold it and I try it on, and we got to do that one day.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what else I was going to ask you too? You and I were talking a while ago. We talked about this one case, and you advised me to be no part of it, not to be any part of it, because it involved a murder that was pretty high profile, and there may or not have been family members still around and in the area. Have you ever turned down cases?
Yes.
Are there specific reasons, like criterias, or?
Yes, I'm crazy, but I'm not stupid.
Okay.
Okay. If I'm going to get involved with an event, okay, I'm going to give you a very good example. There's one particular case. It was a big mansion, a very well-known, connected family. A person had gotten murdered. Then there was a suspicious of another person.
Oh my God.
It was very high-profile names that were involved with it. When I was not told about it before I had gone to the house.
Gotcha.
Okay, because I went to go help out a mutual friend that got involved with it. And I'm like, when we left, I turned and looked at the person. I said, "You didn't tell me anything about that." She goes, "What do you think it was all that important?" And I'm like, "Are you out of your
Oh
mind?"
my God.
I said, "No." I said, "No, I'm not taking that chance." I said, again, you got to be very guarded and careful what you're getting yourself involved with. I said, it's not the spirit I'm worried about, it's the
Right.
human beings I'm worried about.
Right.
So again, I'm not ending up in a lake with cement shoes on for nobody. No. So
Oh, do I have a story for you that you brought that up?
Just the doll that you threw over the bridge ended in the water.
yeah.
Let me tell you this one. I don't know if we ever talked about this. You had mentioned something about the mine when we were there together
Oh,
doing our event. That you
Where
thought
the
that
water
something
was.
that you had thought that something had happened with people dropping off bodies. That's all I'm going to say about it. I
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I conveyed that to others that were there doing an investigation that was being filmed. They went down there, and I can't tell you what they found. I'll tell you off camera. I can't tell you what they found, but it related to what you said in a way.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I'll tell you once we're done here, but it was, I told them what you said, and these people know you. It was Jason Hawes and
I know. I was just gonna
JB.
say that's Jay. You're
Yeah.
talking about Jay. Yeah.
And they went
Yeah.
down there with the hazmat suit on and all that stuff. And what they found, I went, holy crap. Holy crap.
Zaffis was on to something.
Yeah, you may have been. And I don't know if I dig any further if I went down there.
Well, you gotta be a little bit careful there, especially in that where the water was. Remember? I freaked
Yeah.
out. Chris, I think I was with you
Yep.
because we went near the water, and I'm like, no, this goes beyond people that worked here in the mine. This goes way beyond that.
Well, again, for those of you guys out there who are wondering and who follow us and who follow John, we do plan on doing as many events as John wants to do, just like we did last year. We love working with him. We had a great time. We know that he loves Camp Evans, and we're going to try to make that happen, at least 1 or 2 times if we can, along with some other locations. We're talking about a February event and a May event. So there'll be hopefully opportunities for us to get together again with John and to have you guys there and to investigate together, because again, we have a great time doing it, and we enjoy John just being around and arguing
Well,
with
Chris
Ed.
told me I could talk you into going into that lake inside. There's going to get you a diving suit.
Sure,
and
I
it's
mean,
gonna
you
let
know me.
I know.
I'll
That's
put my
all.
amulet on and I'll go dive right down.
I can see that Chris and I will be standing there. He'll be bringing up a whole bunch of bones. Yeah, you were right.
You know what my condition
I'm
was?
like, hey guys.
Lead boots. I said as long as he wore lead boots.
Huh?
Did you? That was a threat. That was, everybody saw that. If anything happens to me, clip, post, bring it to the police, please. John, last thing before we wrap up here. It's the holiday season, so let's talk about holiday traditions. We know we've been to your home. We know you have your holiday traditions that you go through every year. I don't know if everybody else does, but would you mind sharing things that you do for the holidays?
Well, yeah. Everybody always say, "Geez, I would think Halloween would be the big thing with you." It's not. It's Christmas, and Christmas is very special to me because it's magical.
Yeah.
You got to keep the spirit of Christmas going. And it's not necessarily for me, it's for all the little ones. We got 6 little ones in the family now.
Yeah.
And, when all I'll share this with you. When all my nieces and nephews were small, we had 12 or 13 of them. I can't remember how many there were. But I used to dress up like Santa. And everything. One of my nephews is sitting on me, pulls down my beard, and he goes, "Your Uncle Johnny." I looked at the kid. I go, "Shut the F up. You just ruined my whole gig, kid."
Guess who's not getting anything this year, buddy?
But anyway, Christmas is it's just a very magical
Yeah.
time of year. And, I always try to get everybody, to look at it. Try to always remember the good, positive things. We've all have lost our moms and dads, and people we love and we care about. I've lost a ton of them too. But we put a tree up one year, my mother-in-law's tree, and we call that the memorial tree now. And we put different items from different people on that tree, and just keep the magic and the spirit going of the people that are no longer with us.
Right.
I know
Right.
it's difficult and it's a hard thing for some people, but always, try to just push through it. And, and everybody looks at me like I'm nuts when I start talking like that. But
Nope. I
I
had to
love
grab something
Christmas. I
from.
love, it's a magical time of year. We got 3 trees up this year. So we got 2 little ones and we got the real big, big, big one.
I mean, I think she's going to show you something. I think beyond that, even acknowledging the ones we've lost, there is always time to create new and better and happy memories. Not all of us are still here. We're all
And
still
connecting with
together.
others.
So this could be that
Yeah.
year that you remember and that you cherish. So, keep, like you said, being together and making those memories.
We both had very humbling experience this past weekend with some people that came to our event. That was a really good, healthy dose of reminder of really appreciating being with people.
Yeah, yeah.
And connecting.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty precious.
Yeah, these people are dealing with some serious.
And it was a really heavy dose and reminder. Yeah, really great people. So I wanted to show you, talk about, doing the tree and keeping people there. Like I have the same thing on my tree, a nod to my daughter and stuff like you should do. But I also went out of my way and did a nod.
That's haunted. That's haunted, by the way.
That goes on my tree.
That's haunted, by the way.
That's cool. I like that. That's cool.
If you look really close, it's wearing the amulet. I can't really see it on there, but it's got one.
I think it was last year or the year before. Speaking of ornaments, Chris, my son, bought a hot dog, and it had mustard and it's in a bun and everything. He put it on the tree, and he says to Cheryl, he goes, "Don't tell Daddy I put it on there. I want to see if he sees it on there." So I'm looking and I'm looking at it. I'm going, where the hell did that thing come from? I don't ever remember, right? But I never said anything, right? So I was standing there looking at this. Cheryl looked at me one time. She goes, "Are you ever going to bring up that hot dog ornament?"
Oh my
I
God.
go, "Where did that come from?" I was like, I said, "Look at it." And she goes, "Your son put that on there and told me not to say anything. Wanted to see if you were going to notice it on there." About a week and a half later, I noticed it.
That is funny because you don't want to say to anybody like, "Where did that come from?" Because you want to I know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah. Though again, it was just the weirdest, craziest thing, and I was just like, I kept looking at it, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm just like, okay, it must be something Cher put on there because I know I didn't put it on.
Anyway, thanks for joining us again, John. It's been a great year spending all this time with you. We've loved every minute of it. We had a great time, and we appreciate you doing all those events with us and coming to the expo. And we hope you do it again next year. And we wish you and your family the best Christmas ever.
Same thing here. I enjoy doing the events very much. Here again, love the expo this past year. I thought that was fantastic. People, we have people lined up all the way down the thing just to get in to see all of us that were in there. And, it was a good time, a good experience with people getting to see, Cody and Satori's items, Donna's items, my items. So to me, it was good because it was something different. And I think people really liked it. So
they loved it.
Yeah. Which was, I'm glad, again, sometimes stepping out of our comfort zones sometimes is a good thing. And after that, I just took that step back and went, wow. I was amazed at all the different people and some of the remarks and some of the things about all the items we had out. So.
Well, the fact that they boarded up that room after you left, I mean, it happens. They got plenty of other rooms.
No, that was because of Cody's Satori's an item they had in there. No, wait a minute. It was Donna. No, wait a minute. It was John. Who was it?
All the above.
All the above.
All right, John. Take it easy. We'll talk to you soon.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
All right, guys. So that's it. As promised, the legend. Never have a bad time or a bad conversation with John Zaffis. The guy is the encyclopedia, the Google, whatever you want to call it, of the paranormal. He's forgotten more than any of us will ever do. He's more experienced than anybody you'll probably talk to out there. There's very few that have had the career that he's had and deserve the respect that he deserves. I mean, definitely, if I don't say many mentors, I don't have a lot of them in this field, but that guy is definitely
And he's willing to share. If
top
you
of the
ask him a
list.
question, he'll be very
And he's
honest
very
with
open.
you.
He's
Yeah.
very open to new ideas and new methods and new
Yep.
theories, along with all of this stuff that he's done throughout his career, where the older methods and the thing. I just admire him
Very
more
open-minded man.
than most. But anyway, today is Tuesday,
Yeah.
so we'll probably be on again. Oh no, Creeper Gallery is Friday, the live
Yep.
event. So we'll probably come back on again, maybe Thursday night or Saturday night, and talk about how that whole thing went. Maybe have some people on who attended the event. But thanks you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the interview, the discussion. I think it was really interesting. He's, you know, it's just so easy with him. Always
It's
such an
always
easy
easy with him.
conversation.
Have a good night. Stay healthy, stay well, stay safe, and please remember, especially during the holidays when not everybody is as fortunate as others, or there's some neighbors that are alone, check on people and just be really kind. Show kindness. Kindness is it's free. It's easier to be angry and to be harsh, but in all honesty, kindness is the thing that changes everything, even if it's just a smile for somebody.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you soon.